Yo, what is happening, everybody? How are you guys doing? Welcome back to the channel, and today, let's discuss E3 just a little bit more. So I can't lie, it's a little bit fun to try to keep the E3 hype train rolling. The last video discussing Nintendo at E3 and the fact that they gave us plans recently, and if that gives us a clue into what we can expect, it was a lot of fun to talk about. It's just the best subject. It's like the mid-year Christmas, E3 for gamers, man. It is the best. And I mentioned at the end of that video that there was another conversation I wanted to have about E3 surrounding specifically Microsoft. Now, obviously, Rule of Two Review has been primarily focused on Nintendo for pretty much all of its life, but you guys know I still love Microsoft. I love Sony. I even totally am okay with PC gaming. So I do like to spread the love whenever it makes sense to, and with E3 coming up, all companies matter, all games become exciting, all consoles have cool things to try to offer us. Everyone does a different presentation or press conference in different ways to kind of just throw all their information at us and try to get us excited about their products. And so I love to see what Sony and Microsoft are up to just as much as Nintendo. Well, okay, maybe not just as much as Nintendo, but alongside of Nintendo, I do certainly care about that. And Microsoft, boy oh boy, are they in an interesting and precarious situation, which is why I think it should be exciting to talk about them. So why is Microsoft so interesting to talk about? Well, the big reason is because, for all intents and purposes, it really seems like Microsoft this year is basically skipping E3. They're bypassing at least the location, the venue, and the actual in-person convention itself, at least for the most part. And as far as the actual Xbox gaming stuff, it seems like it's not really going to be there. It was a couple of months ago that they basically confirmed, hey, we're not going to be at the LA Convention Center for E3. We are instead going to be at what I think is called the LA Live Convention Center, and it may or may not even be owned by Microsoft. Do not quote me. I only just now thought of that, and I didn't think to research it before the video. But either way, they're going to be at the LA Live Convention Center, which is just kind of down the road from the LA Center, apparently. And that's where they're going to have their actual press conference. It's going to happen, I think, on Sunday before E3, so not even during the normal press conference schedule. And that's when they're going to have a show floor and some of their games and systems and demos and stuff set up. Interestingly, they will sort of be at E3, but apparently they're just going to have a small booth set up that is demoing and discussing their brand new Mixer streaming service. And that's it as far as E3 and Microsoft combined, which is a big deal. I mean, it's another huge company stepping away from E3. EA did it a couple of years ago. And for a few years, we have had Nintendo giving us video presentations as opposed to actually taking the show floor, or sorry, the stage for an in-person press conference. They have otherwise been a part of E3, and they still are this year. They've got all their games and demos in a huge show floor space, so they haven't left E3, but they did leave the press conference side of things a couple of years ago. Then you got EA, this year you get Microsoft. So there's a lot of weird movement on this front. So as far as Microsoft and E3 specifically, that becomes the big news and really interesting. The fact that they're just not simply going to be there, they're holding a different press conference in a totally different location. It's going to be really interesting. What I like about this is that they still are a part of like the E3 week, so to speak, which is also what EA does. And so I at least like that EA and now Microsoft, while they're separating themselves from the convention center and E3 the convention, they're still a part of that week of gaming news and celebration and new announcements, just in their own kind of separate space. And beyond that, what I want to also do is talk about why Microsoft might be doing this and what it says for this week, this E3 week upcoming as a whole, and what it might mean for Microsoft and the Xbox One. There's really only one question that pops in my mind when I think about this whole scenario, and it's this. Does this year's E3, the week of E3 and gaming news, does this become a do-or-die situation for Microsoft? Is this the year, 2018's E3 Gaming Convention Week, is this the year and the time where Microsoft has to figure it out? Is it make or break for Microsoft? And really, I should say not for Microsoft. Let me rephrase that. The Xbox. It's the Xbox brand we're talking about. Microsoft is A-okay. They ain't going to be going anywhere. They got enough money to just keep being Microsoft. But the Xbox is only one division within the huge company that is Microsoft, we all know. And the Xbox brand has been in a weird state the last couple of years in this current generation. And it makes me sad to see, because I do like Microsoft and I love my Xbox One. I actually think it's a great piece of gaming hardware. The library has been suffering the last couple of years, but as a system and a controller, I do really enjoy it. And so, is this a make or break or do or die situation for Microsoft? And just my personal opinion as a gamer and a consumer and a small YouTuber kind of from the outside looking in, Yeah, I kind of think that that's where we're at. The reason I say that is obvious, and it's twofold. It's that sales of the Xbox One have slowed down significantly, whereas Sony has continued to be on top and dominate, and Nintendo has made serious ground in just 1 year, and they are also on fire, essentially on top of the world right now with the Switch, and with all of their success. So right now, while Microsoft technically has more units on the market than the Nintendo Switch does, I feel like it's almost fair to say Microsoft is pretty much in third place if we want to look at this as a race, because Sony is unstoppable, Nintendo is gaining ground, and they're going to absolutely lap the Xbox One very, very soon in terms of just unit sales and software sales and even just gamer interest. That's part of this too. So the Xbox One sales have slowed down significantly. I don't have the hard numbers here, but they have. Most of us know this. And also, their game output, their software output, their support for the console, the games and products they're delivering to us, their exclusive lineup, all of this stuff is suffering tremendously. Again, it makes me sad. I'm not sitting here trying to be the Nintendo fanboy being like, ha, Microsoft, you are dumb. Xbox sucks. You get no games. We hate you. Ha ha ha. Like, no, that's not me. Like, I am an Xbox fan. I'm just a fan of all gaming and consoles. So I have to admit that I don't like seeing this, but this is the state Microsoft is in. They're struggling. The Xbox One brand is struggling. So this year's E3 and Microsoft's decision to step away from the convention but still do something, it's not like they're saying we've got nothing to show for video game content this week, so bye. They're going to a different location to still have an Xbox-focused press conference and still have a place for people and the press and gamers to come and play games and try out their stuff and do whatever this turns out to be. We don't really have all the details, but whatever they're going to do, they're doing something for the Xbox name. So that to me shows me that they are still trying to support the Xbox and showcase it as a great place to play your games and a great piece of hardware. And why would they do that? I think it's because it's very possible that they might secretly have something really huge and amazing up their sleeve. I think that maybe they have realized this is the year. If we want to save the Xbox name, if we want to make it exciting for gamers and consumers again, and if we want to show that we're supporting this and we're continuing to support, and you can look forward to future games and future versions and next generation versions of the Xbox going into the Xbox 2, the Xbox 3, the Xbox 920, the Xbox toaster machine, whatever they're going to do in the future. I feel like they're realizing this is the year to show us that they're not giving up on the Xbox. I have to be honest, like, seeing the trajectory of the Xbox brand the last 2 years, if they weren't doing something so unique here with E3 and stepping away for their own press conference, I might have worried that we were going to see concrete evidence that they're stepping away from the gaming industry. And they might say, you know what? We tried this Xbox thing, we really nailed it with the 360, but this time we're not really doing it so well. Sony is great, Nintendo's great, we just can't compete, we can't get the developers on board, we can't get the exclusive games, no Japanese support, no sales in Japan. It's time to give up. I half expected to see a very paltry outing and showing for Microsoft this year, which would only show us that, okay, they're throwing in the towel, they're probably done. And while that still may happen, I mean, we won't really know until E3 comes and we see what they do with their LA Live Convention Center thing. Until we see that, we won't really know. However, I feel like this is only showing us that they're probably planning something special. I guess that's kind of silly because really when I say special, I actually mean something that is completely normal to all of the other guys, but for Microsoft and for the Xbox One will feel special, which is just a lot of games. I mean, that's what I think they might be doing. I think they're like finally ready to, or I'm hoping I should say, I'm hoping that they're finally ready to just lift the veil off of this incredible lineup. And hey, Crackdown is finally coming and it's launching the week after E3 is over. Like, it's coming in 7 days. And here's Halo 6, and here's a new Gears of War and a new Forza. You get all those obvious things out of the way. And then here's another surprise exclusive. Here's a surprise JRPG. Here's a surprise, you know, Scalebound is back. I'm just throwing stuff out there, whatever. But you guys get what I'm saying. They just might drop a couple of huge bombs and show us that, man, they're back, they're ready. Apparently they needed a couple of years off to just sort themselves out behind the scenes and figure out a good lineup for the future. And then a couple of other, you know, they're going to, I think, focus on Anthem. I've been saying this from the get-go. I think Anthem is going to be the prime focus for the Xbox One X so that they can kind of package those together as marketing for each other. Anthem is going to be the most ultimate game experience ever, so get excited for it. Also, the most ultimate way to play the ultimate game experience is on the ultimate gaming console, the One X. And so I feel like they're going to be bundled together with marketing. So I'm expecting a big showcase for Anthem from Microsoft and the One X at E3 or their LA Live E3 E3 convention thing. And I just feel like that, amongst many other things, maybe they're like, we're ready to go. Here's a bunch of games. We're not done with the Xbox. Here's all these games. Get excited. And again, I know it seems kind of like an obvious thing because that's normally what E3 is. In fact, Microsoft has done this many times at E3s in the past. Nintendo and Sony are going to be doing that this year, but honestly, we just don't know with Microsoft. And this was just a year. Like I said, my thesis here is that until I really kind of realized this in my brain, I was thinking, you know, maybe Microsoft is going to show us that they're throwing in the flag this year and they're done, or throwing in the towel, and that they're just done with the Xbox and it's going to fade away in the next couple of years and then no more Xbox. But now I'm realizing I think that they're actually planning something special. Maybe they have some cool new reveals about new hardware, some new tech that they're doing and working on for gaming that they want to show us. Maybe their own VR thing, or, you know, weird peripherals, as well as amazing games, Halo 6, exclusive stuff, third-party partnerships, the gamut. Like, all of these different things, I just have this weird feeling that that's maybe what might happen. And so to me, the reason is because I feel like this is the do or die year. That's really kind of what started my concept here, is like, is this do or die for Microsoft? And I think it is. And because I think Microsoft realizes that it's do or die, they decided to step away from E3 and do their own thing to show all of this great stuff. And it's very smart because it will also give them a day or two where all of the attention is focused only on them. And Microsoft needs that more than Nintendo or Sony. And so if they do this the Saturday and Sunday before E3 starts on Monday and Tuesday, it's like, well, the weekend will be Microsoft's. Everyone's looking at the Xbox, the new games, the announcements, Halo 6, maybe people are playing the new Halo or Gears or whatever the case may be, or I don't think Scalebound is coming, you guys. I'm just using that as an example, but maybe people are playing Scalebound, whatever the case may be. And so they get all this attention, and they don't have to compete for like news during the week of actual E3 when everyone will be talking about the new Sony stuff, the new Nintendo stuff. I mean, if we see Last of Us 2 stuff and Bloodborne 2 gets announced, and, you know, we actually see Metroid Prime 4 footage or whatever, those kinds of things will be such massive headlines that, I mean, Microsoft in their struggling state just wouldn't be able to compete with that kind of news. And so they're like, let's just do a couple of days for just us, and that's what we're gonna do, and show everyone that we still care about the Xbox. I gotta tell you, man, this is the reason I love E3 time. Whether it's good news or even bad news or just news where you're not sure what's gonna happen, like with this situation, for example, it's still just exciting because, you know, everyone comes together for a week to just do stuff, to just show games, to make announcements, to surprise the heck out of us, to reveal new hardware, to talk about tech and partnerships and all these things that we just love. It's, you know, it's the Christmas of video games, and there's more competition for E3, you know, nowadays, obviously, with TGS and GDC, and I've talked about this before, the PlayStation experience and all this stuff, and it's all good. I mean, I love that we have those things, but E3, for now, is still just barely the king. And whether or not its relevance continues to fade and maybe it just goes away in the next 5 or some odd years, that'll be what it is. But for now, it still is the ultimate week. It still is the time that we all get excited for it. Everyone pays attention, even if you have a Microsoft stepping away to have their convention or press conference the day before. Like, still people are paying attention. And I love Microsoft and the Xbox, like I said at the beginning, so I hope that there's something to this, and Microsoft knows they can't play around anymore. They've got to bring it. They got to drop bombs this year, and that's why they're doing their own convention. So, what do you guys think? Do you think there's anything to this theory? Do you think that Microsoft understands they're in kind of a make-or-break situation? Do you even agree that they're in a make-or-break situation? Or maybe you disagree and you think they're totally fine, and whatever you think they're going to do, you know, talk about it. I want to hear what you guys have to say. All opinions, of course, are welcome here. And that is it for me today. Thanks, of course, as always, for tuning in, guys. This is Rob of Ro2R Review, and I'll catch you next time on another video.